Morning and
Morning.
welcome to our weekly podcast. This week our topic is Math Matters. And I am here this morning with my wonderful colleagues, Curtis Yarborough, Jackie, Kate, I'm sorry, Yates Leach, and we are just going to talk about math. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Sonia Lawson. I am a high school English teacher. I have been an educator for 25 years. This is year 25, and I am still going strong. I have been a teacher in several districts. I started off in Allendale County, moved on to Bamberg County. Then I went to Estill, which is Hampton District 1. Moved on to Dorchester 2. Then I moved on to Orangeburg District 5, which was now really Orangeburg District because they have consolidated. And I currently work at Hampton, what they call 3 now, because Hampton District 1 and 2 consolidated. Over the years, I've taught all of the Englishes, creative writing, journalism. I've been the yearbook advisor. I've done pretty much everything I could do in the English department chair, lead teacher, even was the teacher of the year 2009. So I've pretty much done it all. Thank you so much, Jackie. And so I've come across a lot of things during my 25 years. And we're just going to today try to pull apart some of those things that we see are happening in today's classrooms and talk about what we can do to make things a little bit better. All right, Curtis.
Yes, my name is Curtis Yarbrough, and I'm currently in my 18th year in education. I served in the Marine Corps for 11 years, which gives me a little bit of a differing viewpoint education than most. I taught primarily sixth grade social studies at Robert E. Howard and William J. Clark middle schools in Orangeburg. And for 1 year, I taught fourth grade social studies in ELA in Calhoun County. Due to my heavy usage of technology in the classroom during 2020, the COVID year, I was reassigned to be the instructional technologist to assist teachers in using technology, and during our new way of teaching. Prior to this school term, I had zero interaction with high school curriculum, and currently I'm the instructional facilitator at North Middle High School in Orangeburg County School District. North Middle High is a small rural school located in North South Carolina, and we are a 6th through 12th grade campus, and our current enrollment is 260. Jackie.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here on this Saturday morning. I am Jackie Katina Yates Leach, over 22 years in education. Started out in Dillon, South Carolina. I was a substitute. Then, it happened, went right on into education, psychology major from St. Augustine's University in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so just intertwined those two pieces together. Got certified in special education, went to Florence School District, Charleston School District, then came back to Dillon, relocated to Raleigh, North Carolina, which is one of the largest school districts in North Carolina. And that's where I am now as humanities educator, grades 6 through 12. I can tell you one thing that I've learned in regards to all of the positions that you have, because you're, like you said, Curtis, for your instruction facilitator, Sonia, all your hats and just the honorary of, getting that award. You've gained so much experience and plethora of education. You wear all the hats to help everybody be successful. So from being on the SIP team to being engagement coordinator, family coordinator, etc. Leadership is already built in, has already been instilled in you from day one. And that's just what makes us who we are now. And so the experience, it would be great if we all three were in a school together as leaders, because our school will rock. Our school will be would rock. But just all of those experiences is just a great thing to have. And the other thing too that I want to say starting off this morning is a great thing to get to know you all, because you never know when we are going to really cross each other's paths down the road on this leadership journey again. So I do appreciate that on this morning.
All right. Thank you. I feel the same way. Well, let's get into it. Let's see what's going on at our individual schools. I know Curtis started telling us a little bit about his school, so I'll tell you about mine. Again, my high school is Hampton County High. It is a consolidation of Estill High School and Wade Hampton High School located in Hampton County. It has currently 529 students, 32 teachers. It is very rural. And the back, let me go ahead and give you the stats on the EOC in math. Okay, let me put on my glasses so I can see. All right, and it wasn't pretty, guys. Wasn't pretty. Whew. All right. We had 2.6 of our students receive an A. Now let me back up and tell you that these scores came from our 2021-22 school year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We decided, of course, amongst the three of us, that we wanted to do 2021-2022 and not 23-24, because we felt that it would give us a little wiggle room, and then we could see some improvements from that. So and thank God Curtis did see some. All right, but in good job 2021-2022, 2.6% of the students got an A, 9.2% received a B, 19% a C, 32% a D, and 27.5% an F. So as you can see, those are not good scores. And of course, we need to do something about it. But before we do something about it, we want to know what is going on and why. But before we do that, I'll go ahead and let you guys share, and then we'll talk about why we think those things happened. All right, Curtis.
Okay, so as we continue, we talk about those scores, those Algebra 1 scores in my school. It's not looking too great. I start off with saying that, but it's always on the positive side. That means that there's room for growth. Plenty of room for growth. Our students that year, for students that received an A, we had 0%. Students that received a B, we had 0%. And the ones that received a C, it was 3.2%. Now, those are the areas that you really, really concentrate or really desire to have your students in the A, B, and C. So in the A, B, and C, we only had 3.2%, and that was totally under C's. The ones that received a D, it was 19.4%. And then my F's was 74.2.
Oh.
And that is staggering, and it just hurts to even look at it and say it out loud. But that 74.2% received an F. And we wish that would be the ones that were in A and B, 74.2. And then we get another, 16 to 18% in receiving C's. But those are the numbers. Is the truth? Is the reality? Is nothing to cry about. Is just understand what we have and let's focus on moving forward. So we'll go ahead and go over to Jackie because I want to get away from that for right now. Let's just talk about the good stuff and how we can improve.
That's right.
Okay, the total number of students at Southeast Raleigh High School is 1,335, mostly Black and Brown students. Average class size is 18 students per class, which is a really good number. The performance grade score history from 2019 to 2022 ranged from 50 for the grade of a 55C to a 50D, went from a 55C to a 50D. The academic growth history that the district looked at went from 2019 to 2022, went from a 59.5 to, a 64.6 to a 59.5. So it went down tremendously within that time frame. And again, we look at the district looks at, turnover as far as leadership, our teachers, and et cetera. Where there are a large number of suspensions, a lot of absences, and et cetera. And during that time, the school had some great turnover. And that's one thing that we look at there. So we'll get into more detail as we go on. Thank you.
Okay, so Jackie, you were leading into that, and of course, that's where we're going. We want to know what are some reasons for that. So we're going to let you go ahead, since you were going into that. Go ahead and lead into why you suspect why those scores are so low in your school.
Well, Southeast Raleigh High School, their feeder school is East Garner Magnet Middle School, and that school has a high population of special education students. It also has a high population of ESL students and a lot of language barrier students. Those students feed right into Southeast Raleigh High School. And so the East Garner Magnet Middle School has been put on probation because they are a F school. That's what they call restart school. They get grants, whatever, but they've been put on there. But at this time, that school is still a F school. They have not gone up to a D or a C. So that only lets you know how the accountability is. It shows you what's going to pour into the high school, Southeast Raleigh High School, and what the teachers are going to get, and what they have to start with to try, what interventions they're going to have to put in place to try to help these scholars. But if they're already struggling tremendously when they come to the high school, 3 to 4 grade levels below, so then you know what the pattern is going to be. So we have the language barrier, we have the 3 to 4 grade levels below, etc. And we don't want to say so much of it's a turnover with teachers and administrators, because when I went to go back and look at that, a lot of the teachers do stay at that Southeast Raleigh High School because of the low class, numbers and et cetera like that, and some of the administration. So we looking at all of these language barriers, and those students whose special education have not shown growth. So now we go back to the district. So what are you going to do about your middle schools and your elementary schools, because they're not ready? Can we go back to that basis to get them ready?
Okay. I agree with a lot of what you said, because I know at our school, the consolidation happened because Estill High School was a failing school. They had been on the list for takeover for many years. At the time of the consolidation, believe it or not, they only had 2 certified teachers. Most of the students were on something called Acellus
I'm
or something.
that.
Mm-hmm. So they were being taught that way. So they weren't getting those basics from the teacher. They were getting it all from technology, which is good, but you need that teacher in the room.
Warm body, yes.
Warm body, of course. You also had, I heard you say, absences,
Mm-hmm.
teacher turnover. I heard you say predominantly African American, which, all of us being African American, you hate to hear that. You hate to hear, I know you do. Why? Why? Because just because they're African American, they can't achieve. But I'm sorry, historically, we have achieved a lot less than our white counterparts. I heard you say that we had a lot of what they call, I think they've changed the language. Is it ML now?
Well,
Student?
it's ELL now. It used to be ESL, but ELL, and it's a lot of them because they're coming over from El Salvador and all these places on the Coyote, which is a ring or skiing. They're coming over here to our country and etc. And they speak no English whatsoever and etc. The barriers are very high. I mean, right. This number this year was the most that I've ever seen ever, and it's a very high number.
Same here. Okay, and then also 100% of our students in Hampton are 100%. That's what they classify them as. Now, I don't see it that way, but economically disadvantaged, 100%. All right. And then you have your behavioral problems. So we have high suspicion rates. It's just, and absences. I don't know if I said that, but just not coming to school. Now, what about COVID? COVID could be a factor in this. Since COVID, a lot of students have had that math loss. That's what research says. Research says that students have lost a lot of math since COVID. So, Curtis is looking like he doesn't not agreeing with me right now.
I'm not totally agreeing on that. We do know and realize the effects that COVID did have, but if we go back and look at the statistics, it's not a dramatic saying COVID made these numbers go down. The students students weren't doing well prior to COVID, and now when students are not, it was already a trend. It's trending down, should I say? And so now after COVID, it looks more drastic because we had like a 2-year gap where we were not testing, and then we jump back into testing. So it's been a decline prior to COVID, and then it's just basically keeping the same pattern. And so now I do know and realize COVID did have an effect on the way and how we were teaching and everything. So it did have a lot of the educators, should I say, were uncomfortable in this change. And then they're looking at all the other obstacles. And then when they see that the students weren't doing well, they try to say, oh, it's because of COVID. We've been on this train, prior to COVID. It's been going on that way. I want to jump in your way, and I'm with your why.
I always want you to jump in and have your say. So, I like to debate anyway. So
I think one thing too, getting back to that, Sonia and Curtis, I think another thing is that society, government wants to place that on COVID, so it can't be an accountability on them. Our society, United States educational system wants, this COVID thing or whatever, but our scholars right now during that COVID time, they weren't born into COVID. It's not, they were birthed into COVID. Okay. So the government does want, COVID. Oh, these are our COVID kids, so when they pass through, we'll be pretty okay or whatever. Nah, that's not what we're doing. We can't just, they pass through and, it's going to be okay. No, that's not a thing. They got used to something. It became the norm. And because even during the time, you both want to agree, is that when we were teaching, that was more of a little bit more stressful than anything, because you're trying to keep scholars' attention and all of those kinds of things or whatever. And so it was much harder. We were at home and etc., but still it was much harder because you knew that when we got back to that classroom, what we were going to be dealing with. It was going to be a struggle for those kids to be like, I don't want to be at school. Now I can see what I see what I can even do being at home, with this thing going on. I don't want to go back to the classroom. That was a whole nother struggle. I don't want to go back to no classroom. Hey,
Right.
I can just keep doing this. And we still have scholars who are at home, and I can't see why truancy, but I guess their hands are tied because of now it's this mental thing, going on. And then he's like, I don't want to be at school. I can't be around anybody. That I'm still with this nervous thing in regards to COVID, and we're moving on. And so it's oh my God, all of those things, those factors that impact our students for being successful is crazy. So what in the United States, U.S. Department of Education, what are we going to do about what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do?
And I'm glad you brought that up, Jackie, because that is that mental piece now, that mental piece that students and parents are now saying, my child feels afraid to come back to school, or my child likes doing it this way. It's better for our family, as you said, and I was the same way. I was like, you know what? I don't want to go back to school. At first, when it was first happening, now I was like, oh no, this too much. I don't want to do this, all of this. But then I got comfortable with it, and I was like, oh, this is great. I love this. And then we didn't want to go back. So I understand too why the students wouldn't want to. But then you had those other students who said, oh man, I had students who would never do work online. And they were like, do it. When I'm home, I'm sorry, I need to be in school, because when I'm home, I'm going to sleep. I'm going to my grandma's house. I'm going outside on the porch, talk to Johnny and them. I'm not going to do my work at home. I have to be at school. So
right. That's how I did say that, COVID effect had some effect, but overall, we're already trending downward. So, COVID kind of made us see it, because when you look at the data, you went from 2018 to 2022, 21 round. So we skipped the years where we had a pass on testing and everything. And so if you go back to 18, 17, 16, you already was seeing this 2-point drop, 3-point drop, in most places. And then when you take a dip for 3 years, that 1 point or 2-point drop that was going steadily every year, now it dropped down to about a 4-point drop. So now we say, oh, my kids went down 5 points or 5 percentage points. COVID really did us wrong. No, not necessarily. We were already headed in that path. You just saw a drastic dip because you had those gaps in the years. And then when we look at data, we're looking at data from 2019 and then 2021, 2-year gap. Oh, it was a 5 percentage drop. COVID did us terrible. That's the only reason I say I don't want to place too much on COVID. It did have an effect, but we're already trending in a bad direction. So let's get back to our why, because that is a why, but it's not a major why. So
and
that was
I'm sorry, Curtis, I hate to cut you off, but I want to get back to something too, because Curtis, it kind of does go back into what you were just talking about. We were already trending that way as far as the consolidation that took place here in Hampton. Esther High School was already trending down. COVID did not take the teachers. The teachers were gone before COVID. So I wanted to ask Jackie, because she mentioned that, which made me think about it. When you talked about teacher turnover, administrative turnover, can you talk more about that? What does that do, or how have you seen that affect student achievement?
Sonia and Curtis, and it's very important because we have the passion, the commitment, and the knack. Okay. It's already, your relationship building is so important before you even step foot ground, rooted in you, before you even step in the education arena. We have been well-rounded, we have been exposed. And so when you get in the school system and et cetera, it has to be the same way. The leader has to have an open door. The teachers got to be able to trust. The leader they need to know that they have his support. And so looking at the performance grade history and the academic growth history of Southeast Raleigh High School. Again, when I tell you guys about John Wall, when he was there from 2014 to 2017, he exceeded growth 97.7%, 95.8%. All those years from 2014 to 17 that he was there, he exceeded growth. His leadership team, his administration team, his SIP team was strong, because that's how he came in as a Joe Clark. He came in as a Joe Clark. He left in 2018. It went down from 93.9 to 84.5. They met with the new leader. That leader left and went to another high school. Somebody else came. It went down from 84.5 to 59.5.
Oh my
Not
gosh.
met.
Then
that person, something that happened in 2019. After that some kind of court case came in, and it was a major court case with a special needs student, etc. Went through that, and then a lot of people left. An older lady came in. She was very strong, etc. She did get it up to 64.6%, but it still was not met, because you just had people confused and mixed feelings or whatever. It was in and out, turnover. You didn't have those strong educators in there, etc. So, I mean, it was heartbreaking to see a school from 2014 to 2017 exceeded growth from 92.7, 95, 92.8, 93.9, and it just went slam down because of, again, that leader is important. Like you all, Mr. Wall was a person where he knew everything that went on his school. He just didn't depend on his assistant principals and etc. his SIP team, but he knew as an individual. When he first started off as principal at that high school, he met with every parent, every single Black, brown, Caucasian, Japanese, whatever the race was. He met with him and his administration team met with every parent. They met with every student to see what are your goals? What are you doing? I mean, what do you want to do in life? Because I need to see if you need to be at the alternative school, not just for behavior, but you might need we have some alternative programs where this student only needs this amount of credits and they need to go on and get into a community college to help them, whatever. He did those things like that. He partnered with the community college. This is what I see. I have about 50 students. This needs to be their pathway. So he really cared, and he really talked to those parents and had them to be a part of their child's education. We had so many, I have never seen so many events go on, y'all, in a school, but it took that. It was all of that. The churches were involved. He went to the churches to speak. The churches was involved. The mayor was involved. The city councils. So during his time, he had, I'm telling you, and I was on student council. He was like, look, I need a Chamber of Commerce involved in this, Yates. I need them being a part of everything that you do with the student council.
So Jackie, let me ask you, with that, after he left, what was the teacher turnover like? What did that look like? Because the teachers still had to teach regardless who was there.
When he met, numerous teachers were still there, but you still had. We couldn't afford to. We really didn't need to lose any teachers. We really didn't need any teachers. It would have. Those teachers that left needed to stay, but they wanted to. They left and they went to Charlotte because they knew the great leader that we had. This other person came in, they were kind of leery about, which is true because it went from a 93.9 to 84.5. We still met, but we weren't eating, and they didn't carry out. What's the saying? If it's not broke, then why not? Why fix it?
Don't fix it.
It's not broke, why fix it? And that person was trying to. I think they wanted to be.
They wanted to come in age. Jackie froze on us.
Oh man.
Oh Lord! But Curtis,
come back, Jackie.
Come on, Jackie, we need you back. But Curtis, I think I agree with Jackie. I think she's saying it takes a great leader of a
Right.
school, and it comes from the top down.
Yeah.
Things really work in your school, and you have to have a great leader. And I think that is why we're in this program, to become great leaders, to make sure that we have the staff that we need, and that our staff will buy to what we want happening in our schools. And all of that will trickle down, because if you have great teachers, you can have all the great. This is what I told somebody before, one of my principals, because our school climate wasn't great. And I said, what do you see is the most important thing for school achievement and student achievement? He said, great teachers. I said, okay, that is true. But in order to have great teachers, what must you have? He couldn't give me the answer. What I was looking for him to say is your school climate, because you can have the most qualified teachers in your building. If your school climate sucks, guess what? Those qualified teachers gonna come to school, keep all their qualifications bottled up, and it be like, I'm not doing anything.
Exactly.
Not for this leader. But
They
if you
take away the great, they remove the great from it. They just become a teacher.
teacher coming to do the bare minimum. And I know that sounds bad, but if you have somebody in leadership who is not, like you said, Mr. Walls was compassionate, he was involved. You could tell that. You said he had an open door policy. He was even, when we discussed off camera, you were telling us of all the great things he did for his teachers. That is someone who you want to come in and you want to do everything for this man and for his vision.
We followed y'all when I have never been to so many professional development workshops, conference, etc. up under this man. Like every day, y'all, when he came in, he and the administration team and the school leadership team, they walked those halls. There was not going to be no tardies. There was not going to be nobody skipping. They walked them halls. When I mean they walked them halls, they walked those halls. It won't know just the teachers sweeping the halls and y'all come on or whatever. Nah, you get that administration team, his basketball coaches, because you know the schedule for elected teachers is a little bit different. Oh no, you being a leader. You ain't just gonna be down there in the gym just doing whatever. You walk those halls, and then what happened was it made some of them be like, oh, I'm gonna go get my degree. I'm gonna go add on leadership or whatever. Like a lot of them became future principals because they was like, oh, okay, he want us to be. If you were a department chair or whatever during your time, your first few minutes or whatever, you walked those halls. You did not. There's nothing going down in his school, etc. The SROs that he had. Oh my God, did they not protect the school? Like, they hated for him to leave. And this is how he was. Everybody is a vital part. Everybody is an intricate part. And he was like, I don't want to hear anything less, and etc. Like if he saw that you was being lackadaisical, you had to go. Like, no, you can't stay here. He told the school district, the board could not do anything with him. He was like, this person got to go. You can move into another school, but they can't stay here.
So he was one of those formative, transformational leaders, and that's what we need for achievement, which is great. Curtis, thank you, Jackie, for sharing that with us. Curtis, did you get a chance to tell us why the whys for your school, and then what you think some of the problems for your school?
Well, my why is it goes back to those actual scores on the end of course in Algebra 1, and we look at I'll discuss partly my school and then my whole district as a whole. I know we were kind of pinpointing one school, our individual school, but our school is basically, it falls in line with everything that's going on in our district, and quite possibly could be across the state. We have, we consolidated as well. We had Orangeburg 3, Orangeburg 4, and Orangeburg 5 consolidate. Now we're just Orangeburg County. Now within those three separate school districts, they each had a middle school that had their magnet students or their high achieving students. Those students were in the 8th grade taking the algebra test. And so the scores from those middle schools with those students that, are high achieving students that, really do well, and their classes were kind of curated, just for them to do well. They were all taking the Algebra 1 test in the 8th grade. And the effects of this are real. If you go back and look over the history of their scores, the scores in those middle schools were hanging at 100% all the time. And then I could go in and contradict myself a little bit when I say the COVID effect. After COVID, those schools dropped drastically down to about 98, 96%. So even those high achieving students, they did have a little bit of effect during the COVID. But again, I was saying that I'm not going back on COVID. So those middle schools, if we look at the data in Orangeburg 3, you had Holly Hill, their students were traditionally at a 100% pass on Algebra 1. Then you in Orangeburg 4, you had Carver Ediston. Their students were traditionally at 100% pass on Algebra 1. And then in Orangeburg 5, we had Clark Middle School, and their students were traditionally 100%. So what this does is take the students when they go to their respective high schools, and these students that could not take Algebra 1 for whatever reason in the 8th grade, a lot of them were our struggling population. So then now when they get to the high schools and you put them in that Algebra 1 class, these were already students that were struggling with math and what have you. So the percentage is kind of, the numbers are kind of, I'm not going to say that they're lying, but it doesn't give you a full truth. It's kind of a false truth. You have your students that struggle, put them in the classroom, take the test, and then we only get 50%, 30, 40% of them passing the end of course in algebra. Now, these numbers would look better if those students that took it in the 8th grade in those magnet classes were mixed in those same classes, and some of those students' scores were added to that 50% of the struggling students that did well, and then those percentages go up 60 to 70%. Then we say, oh wow, this school is on it, they're doing great. So sometimes it's really not just we don't have all the students doing well. It's just how we calculate all of this information, and it kind of makes it look like the high schools are just horrible. Now, should we do better? Yes, indeed, and that's what we'll get to that in a little bit. But at the same time, some of the why is because of who you're testing. If you're testing all the kids that don't do well in math, and 40% of them pass, that's actually is good, because you got the ones that couldn't do, and we got 40% of them that actually do.
I totally agree.
So it's kind of in that area, on pretty much of my why, I would say. Now, I will also say when I come to my school in particular, some of it is again, it goes to that teacher turnover rate as well. We did have at that school in the past few years, I think there's about 4 different teachers in the past 6 years that taught the Algebra 1.
Difficult.
What that does is, and then you have people that was coming from different school districts, which means they were probably doing something different somewhere else, and then they come here, and then they, that little curve of changing how you're doing things, how your district mandates what you're doing, it does play a role. So that the teacher turnover, the problem we have with teacher turnovers, then we have the different teachers with different paths of education, should I say, and I don't want to say any one way is the wrong way or anything like that, but you have alternate certifications and things going on. So a lot of that plays a role. So by the time we have teachers come in and get comfortable, this is how we're going to do this, let's improve this, then they're gone. Then you got somebody else starting all over. So in the long the long term, the students are the ones that's being discredited or injustice. How we gonna get better? That's what we're gonna move to next. How we gonna get better? Whew. I, I gotta
We're gonna
breathe for a second.
we're gonna let you be last on how we're gonna get better.
Okay. All right. Not a problem with that. So where
Yeah,
we going? We go.
I think that how we're going to get better. Well, let me tell you how my district or school improvement plan says that we are going to get better. I was
Okay.
surprised when I looked at my district improvement plan, where they state in the plan that during the summer from kindergarten to 12th grade, they are going to they're going to have incentives to help students achieve on math EOC. I think that's wonderful. So every summer they have these summer camps for math.
Yeah.
And yep. So I thought that was wonderful. And I know a lot of districts are doing that now. They have these math camps. We also, it provides after school tutoring every day, Monday through Thursday. We also have built in during the day what we call our advisory. I know other schools use different terms for it, but it's our EOC practice during the day. It's a 40-minute practice every single day for EOC math and English. Then we have, I don't know if they have biology or anything like that, but I think it's definitely math and English. All right. We also have programs that they use, the IXL programs. And of course, each teacher has the opportunity to practice and support their students with individual after school tutoring or in school tutoring as well. Yeah. We also, Jackie, did you have something you wanted to add with that?
No, you go ahead. I'm gonna hold that thought. Go ahead. I'm gonna hold that thought.
Of course, we have the the meetings where we try to the SIC in our SIC meetings, and I attended one on Monday. Hadn't been in a SIC meeting in a long time. They talk to parents about how to study with their students, how to help their students practice for the EOC and get ready, because that's coming up very soon.
Yes,
And
it is.
parent involvement is really, really important for these types of tests and all student achievement. And that's happening slowly, but that is one of our incentives. So I hope that parents will get more involved and that students will take these opportunities, because a lot of times we offer this stuff and they don't take it seriously. But hey, this is what we have. They have it, and hopefully they will use it, and we'll see more growth, which we have. I can tell you that, and I know Curtis is going to want to share this too. We've seen growth from 2021 to 2022. We were an average school, and now we are. I think that the rating is good. I think it is. So that's an improvement. All right, Jackie.
And now I'm glad you were going there, because that's one thing too that we met as each grade level this year, is to find a way to really get the parent involvement, whether it is they living with aunt, uncle, grandma, whoever that cares to want to see that they help these scholars be successful. That was the main thing that we were honing in on. When we sent out surveys. When can you meet? Can you come to the school? Can you volunteer? We'll help set up stuff. Looking at even, can we get transportation? Because we have, again, our ELL population where a lot of them don't have transportation. So Wake County, what can you do for those that do want to come out, etc., and be a part of our school events? Because our main focus was working with these parents, like, okay, where do you see your child in the future? What do you want for your child's education? Because without them, a lot of them, because there are a couple of students who are like, I can't even believe my mom finally came out to a meeting or to a PTSA, etc. And then it means a lot. When we had 8th grade night, we just had 8th grade night. There were a lot of parents that came out, and we had community resources and all of these people there in colleges, university, early colleges, but they came out and it was just so exciting. They were like, okay, you guys gonna have one in spring, because I think that parent involvement is so important. Like I said, I don't even if it's your aunt or uncle or cousin come out to check on you, let's make it happen. And I think that's important. We have daily intervention, all the software programs set up, etc. We even use some of those as incentive that you'll get a grade on. To help the scholars, just to motivate them to be a part, helping some of the scholars who behaviorally inclined, like, okay, we're gonna let them be leaders. Finally, allow them to be leaders. Just not put a stipulation on, okay, we just got our academically gifted, our AG students. We're not doing that. Let them have some roles in the school, see what they're gonna do with it. To give them an opportunity, because it's always been, don't get me wrong, we acknowledge our student ambassadors, our student, scholars, AG students, academically gifted. But let's see what their ideas, because everybody has creativity. Everybody has some kind of knack that they can show they giftedly inclined some way that I may not even understand as the teacher, that part. And so we've had scholars participate in this Ron Clark House Academy that we adopted, and it is phenomenal, because those who have never participated are participating now, and so showing their creativity, etc. So all of those things right there is what we are putting into our schools, trying to push just to see that growth.
It's wonderful. All right, Curtis.
I was just thinking back on that Ron Clark. I love that. We went down to Atlanta to check him out. That was great. So
I want to just say, Ron Clark, when he first came out a long time ago, he came to Allendale High School, and he was phenomenal.
Indeed. All right. So what are we doing? What improvements we made improvements in the past year at North Middle High, and one of them, they added the position of instructional facilitator. That's my role, to assist the teachers. And we have individualized intervention period every day, and we have mentoring, NIET sessions. A lot of those things involved around the teachers. But back to this individualized intervention, basically what it is, being that we're in a small school, we can do certain things, and we can touch every student a lot better than some of your larger schools. And we look at all of the data from the student performances. So if you are a student that needs some extra assistance in, say, biology, during your intervention time, you may spend a day or two in biology. Now, we don't just shade off the rest of the curriculum, because the other days you may be in your math, your biology, your algebra 1, or your U.S. history. So with the being in small school, we're able to touch all of the students. We're giving each student individually exactly what they need during an intervention, instead of just saying, everybody go to math intervention, everybody go to ELA. So during the week, that intervention session, it looks real different for every week. As far as the teachers, you just preparing, to provide intervention for all students. And then we also work on, these individual students in particular. So the teachers don't necessarily have the same students every single day. And then we also, for the school district, we came up with I'm saying we like it was part of my plan, but we as a district, we have a math team, and we have ELA teams, which meet once a month, and it focuses on using better practices. And the team consists of assistant principals, math specialists, interventionists, your instructional facilitators, and all of these individuals that represent each school in the district. And during the meetings, the participants receive professional development from outside of the outside sources, as well as in-district personnel. and the participants themselves even provide some of the professional development activities. And they're required to go back to the school and take the information and share it with the individual teachers. And for that, there's no reason for one school in a district to be doing very well, and then we have another school that's not doing well. So what we do is we interact with those schools that are doing well. What are y'all doing there? You know, what have you done to make your scores move so well? Maybe I can use some of that stuff over here. And then we you know, like the goal is to help the teachers create strategies and that they can use in their plans. And it's kind of, we know in education, there's a whole lot of catchphrases and terms that are used and thrown around all the time. And we want to do away with that that term best practices, you know, because, you know, best practices, you know, they may work in one place, but that is not necessarily what's best for me in this place. So we don't want to use best practices. We're going to change that to using better practices. So
Yeah.
by creating this math team, we want to provide, we'll have teachers provide better lessons, and we intend on having better outcomes. And we're not trying to change, you know, the why or the how that education is going on. We just want to take it and change it and make it do better. So we don't want best no more. We want to change it to what we have and do it better. You say that's a best practice, but we need to take that best practice and do it better. No longer just doing things. Everything, and that's kind of the mantra for this year, that in the district, let's do it better. We're not saying that you're horrible. You know, we're no longer saying the data is telling us what it's telling us. You know, so we're not gonna sit here and dwell in that and just sit here and cry over this. We're gonna change and say, okay, what are we doing? Because you're doing something. You're getting some scores. You're doing something. So let's take that and let's do it
Absolutely
better.
Woo! Well, I tell you what, I love that.
That's right, Brother Curtis, preach.
He done preached. He done preached. Lord have mercy. When what they say, let the church say amen.
Amen, amen, amen.
Amen, amen. So now we went over a lot, John. Now we went to talk about our schools, why scores are the way they are, and how we plan on doing better. So, you know, at this point, is there any last comments, statements anybody want to share? Sonia?
Well, first of all, I want to say I have really enjoyed working with you all every week on the podcast, coming together, thinking about what we can do to help our students, and not only our students, but help ourselves, you know, become better educators. Better colleagues, so that we could collaborate, as Jackie said, and we could just all of us get together and collaborate and work together. We could have, better schools, better work environments, better leaders. And so I have enjoyed this immensely. I've learned a lot, and I'm going to take this back and use it, as I think Jackie has said in the past, as you know, as we've been working together. And I just want to thank you all for your patience, and I've just enjoyed it. And I'm just going to use just keep getting better. And I want the best for you.
Indeed. Jackie?
You know, ditto. Seriously, ditto. I mean, and all of the above. And one thing that I do want to say to you all, and if you have not thought about it, which I am, and I want to put it out there to you all, I hope that you are considering writing a book. You both need to consider telling your story. Sonia, Curtis, tell your story, better practices, Sonia, the honorable, I received this award, but it was based, this is how I got to the journey, journey great, write your
Thank
story, right? Think about, publishing that novel. It needs to be heard, needs to be seen. Think about doing some TED Talks or whatever like that. I'm trust me, will bless you tremendously because we need to be visible in our scholar lives, all scholar lives, but we need to be visible in our scholar lives so that they can see that motivation, that peace, that well-roundedness. Because guess what? We come from humble beginnings. We weren't born with a silver spoon in our mouth, etc. And here we are now, so nothing comes easy, but we got to crawl before we walk. So I appreciate this, etc. But I do want to say that to you all because I'm looking into that myself right now. Tell your story, tell you, because keep touching lives and tell your story. Yeah.
you. You too.
Yep, and I pretty much feel the same way. It's been a great opportunity talking to you all, and as well, really educational because we are in 3 different districts, and we're kind of hearing the same problem. So we know our struggle is just not isolated to us. So this has been a great opportunity actually to gain that much knowledge, saying that is a struggle, but there's other people just like me out there fighting that fight for the good cause. So that is the good part about activities such as this. And so I think at this point we can go ahead and if I'm doing this right,